Well, look at me with a One Piece theory video. Am I a proper One Piece YouTuber now? Did I make the cut? I hope I did. So this video, it'll be another quick one, hopefully. I got a couple videos in the chamber. I'm about to be on a roll. Okay, I've been planning videos, writing them out slightly, just like the outline, so I can have the idea in my head. Then I'll go and record them. This is one of those videos. I decided to make a video on a more recent theory topic, which is Shanks versus his brother, his twin, his brother, or maybe he's a clone. This is what I'm here to discuss, bro. Now, I don't have any solid theory. I don't have any solid evidence stacked up. This is more for thought-provoking purposes and all that. You know, I almost died saying that. So, I'm just going to talk about Shanks versus Danks, or Stanks, or Stabs, whatever you want to call them, okay? Now, I think the panel that we got in this recent chapter of Elbaf kind of confirms that this guy is the same guy we saw talk to the Gorosei. We got the same angle and everything. We know it's not Shanks because Shanks is doing something else, unless Shanks is living a double life, okay? Other than that, we know it's not him right now. So the biggest question is, who exactly is it? And more importantly, what is the dude's name going to be? Okay, now I've seen everybody saying Stabs and this and that, and I was thinking that too. But then I started really thinking of, like, what kind of gimmick would he have with his name? Would it be the opposite of Shanks? What is a Shanks? Now, I'm sure Shanks' name, I'm sure we all know what a shank is, you know, people get stabbed. That's not the shank his name is referring to. The shank his name is referring to is a leg, you know. That's the name, it's the old slang term for legs. Mainly the part of the leg that's behind your knee, the back of the knee and calf area. So when I heard that, I thought immediately, what's the opposite of your knee? Maybe it's your elbow. I thought Shanks' brother's name would be Weenus. Now hear me out, bro. Weenus, okay, that's your elbow. Okay, maybe the actual name for elbow, like the olecranal or whatever the hell it's called. I think that's what's called, the olecranal skin. But that's too much of a complicated word for just a character's name. Olecranal, that's too long. I thought, hey, maybe that's not what it is. Okay, I'm going down the wrong path right there. So then I started thinking closer to the knee. What's the exact opposite of the back of your knee, the back of your leg? That's the front of your leg. So I thought, what if his name is Shin, like your shins, you know? What if his name is Shin? It would also have a meaning in Japanese, because we know the word Shin in Japanese means new, fresh, modern, or renewed, and, you know, all that sort of stuff. Once I started thinking like that, I said, hey, maybe I'm going somewhere with this, okay? So maybe his name is Shin, because it's the front of the leg instead of the back of the leg, okay? Maybe he is a clone. Him being a clone would not completely be out of the question, but then at the same time, maybe it is. We know cloning was first created, or at the very least, we know Vegapunk stated that the first successful clone was Stussy, you know, result of Punk Hazards and the Mad Science Team, which was, you know, Sanji's father, Caesar the Clown, and Vegapunk. So Stussy was the first successful clone, but Vegapunk being Vegapunk, his definition for what successful is could vary. And I mean, it could vary a lot, because, you know, he said that the replication of Kaido's devil fruit was a failure and it was unsuccessful, but the only problem with it was the color. That's what made it not a success. So what if the other clones that he made were all not successful in the sense that he didn't completely replicate the grown man in front of him? Think of it like this. We don't know if Stussy was born as a baby or not. We don't know if she grew up from a baby's body and, you know, went through adulthood as a regular clone. We know that the clones in Germa, they, after, you know, Sanji's father took the experiments and his research from Mads, he was making clones, and his clones would take only 5 years to become fully grown adults. Okay, and he was replicating and making clones back to back. It didn't even take that long for them to become full-grown adults. We don't know how long Stussy took to become an adult. Maybe it was 5 years, like how the clones in the German science kingdom were. Maybe it took Stussy the entire lifespan of a regular adult. Maybe she was born with the body she has now, like a grown woman's body, because that's the definition of a successful clone for Vegapunk. He's making a genuine, exact copy of what is in front of him right now. So what if in the past, all the other clones that he used to make that were unsuccessful, what if they had to start off as babies? Or what if they didn't inherit every single trait of the person they're cloning? So my point in saying all this is, if Shanks is a clone of Figurlin, or this new Shanks twin is a clone of Shanks himself, it could still be in the question, really, because, you know, it means whether or not it's a successful clone or not, that little parameter of what successful means could vary. This dude could be an unsuccessful clone because he's evil, or because maybe he has like a speech quirk or something. You know, it could be something so small that we wouldn't know. Outside of that, he could still have the same hockey, he could have the same brain, the same strength. But there's just one small problem with him, based on Vegapunk's standards and his, you know, perfectionist mindset as a scientist. What if the clone was unsuccessful because what we know to be the lineage factor wasn't able to be cloned too? So without that lineage factor, without what made this person, Vegapunk couldn't call it a clone for real. So what if that's the only difference? Okay, what if Shanks and this brother, what if they are both clones of Figurlin? Now, outside of the clone aspect of things, I feel like if he really is related to Shanks by blood, the only other scenarios we could go with is the fact that, you know, Figurlin had twins. That would make the flashback to God's Valley. We would need more context around it. And if we ever were to see that flashback again, I'm sure it would be some retcons, you know, retroactive continuity. We would have to, like, it would just have to be different. Like, Roger would have to know about the existence of a twin now. Now, you can argue that what we've seen so far doesn't mean he's not aware of the twin. He could just not have mentioned it this whole time, right? It's not important, so there'd be no reason for Roger to have mentioned Shanks' twin throughout this entire series. Same thing with Buggy. But that wouldn't make sense, really. It would be kind of unnatural for nobody to ever mention that Shanks has a twin brother who's walking around looking just like him, causing havoc. It would be kind of unnatural. So it would have to be a retcon if his twin is squeezed into the story and all of a sudden a lot of characters knew about him this whole time. It kind of would feel like a retcon, really. I seen people getting hung up on the phrase "that man." I'll put the picture in the video for you so you can look at it. But during the Jump Festa, Oda said something about how, you know, the Elbaf arc this so far has been pretty calm and chill. And the appearance, a certain man appeared, and because of that man, things will stop being calm. You know, you won't have a chance to breathe and all this and all that. That's what he said. Now, people are getting caught up on the phrase "that man." You have to understand something. Now, maybe in our language, to speak like that would be kind of awkward unless it's a specific sentence. You know, it would have to be, how do I say this? It would have to be within a certain context for someone in English to just use to refer to somebody as "that man." It would have to be a certain context, right? You wouldn't just call the person "that man" like that's their name. In Japanese, they're more or less referring to the person as if that's the person's name for the time. And especially when you're reading something, this is often used because simply the author just doesn't want you to know anything about the person. It's a character that will be revealed to you, but whenever people talk about them, they say, "Yeah, that man, he's there, he did it." Nobody talks like that. If in English, that would be so weird. Like, why won't you just say the dude's name, or saying, "Yeah, it's this dude I'm worried about." You know, it would be more. It would be a little bit more of a. The sentence would be more drawn out. You wouldn't just leave it there at that man. So, whenever people hear that man be used, they're immediately thinking it's the previous that man that was being referred to. Are you following me? So whenever Oda says that man, he could be referring to any character, and it's not always the same character. Whenever he says that man, it's not always the same that man, okay? That man can be referring to Saul. It could be referring to that man who they rumored to have the burn scars. It could be referring to that man who did some shit back in the day at the at the fucking God Valley. Like, it could be anything. So it's not always the same person being referenced when they say that man, okay? But this man, he's appeared and he looks just like Shanks. There's a lot of shit that's gonna come about from this. This video was kind of a rant too, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't even have anything planned. I knew I wanted to talk about this subject. I mentioned the clones and how that could be a possibility. You know, the clones from Germa, when they were born, I'm assuming they start off as infants, but they become fully grown adults within 5 years. That's abnormal. So Stussy, I'm like, how does that work though? So if they become fully grown adults in 5 years, do they still have the regular lifespan of a full adult, even though they caught up in physical growth within 5 years? So Stussy, does she still have the same long lifespan as the original Buckingham Stussy, even though she's been an adult for since she was 5 years old? Does that make sense? I wonder, man. I wonder. But hey, I'm out though, man. There's nothing much to talk about left. You know, I've seen the skull and hot tea theories. I didn't talk about it here because I think everybody's seen it. That, Shanks is one of the wolves that chased the sun and moon. That's why, as a baby, he had the sun and moons on him. It makes sense. It makes sense. I think that part of the theory, there's something more to it. I don't think it's exactly that. But the whole chasing the sun and moon thing, I think that is 100% true. One of the twins is in the shadows. The other twin is in the light. He followed Roger. He knows about the truth of the world. The other one, he's knew about the truth of the world. He's living in the shadows. He's living in that truth, right? Secretly, working for the world government. He's a holy knight. So I think that duality is definitely going to be there. They're going to be opposites in a lot of ways. Especially in their ideals and beliefs. I could see that happening 100%. But other than that, I just wanted to talk about it, get my thoughts out there for what I think, especially on the cloning situation. I mentioned how Stussy was a clone. Clones are born at 5 years old, they're fully grown adults. So Shanks, if he was a clone and an unsuccessful clone at that doesn't necessarily mean that, like, every clone before Stussy, they could look like Shanks if they were clones before him. Vegapunk said the first successful one. What does that mean? And his clone knowledge, his information and knowledge on cloning, this had to have come from the people before him, from the ancient kingdom. Have they been cloning people since long ago? Are some of the people who are alive in the world right now, are they descendants from a clone lineage? Imagine if Stussy goes off and has her own family. Those people will be descendants of a clone. Okay? I wonder how that's going to work. That might be a big thing. Luffy might be the descendant of a clone. We're going to find this type of stuff out later, though. I'm sure Oda will deliver. I'm out.